Hello. You are on the channel with interesting stories. Sit back and let's begin. Jeffrey finished work, went to the locker room, took a shower. While getting dressed, his phone rang. I looked at the phone. My wife was calling. There was something between them lately. Tension, and he didn't understand. What was the matter today? He had to meet her. After work, and something obviously changed. He replied, I'm listening to you, Jeffrey. Come to Sports Palace and take Leo from his karate classes there, then go home. I'm on. I'll be late at work. We have an urgent report here. Jeffrey asked, what kind of report? Who needs it today? Friday. Amelie answers him, this is my job, Jeffrey. And what time should I expect you? Amelie, I think about 10 at 11. Jeffrey, one more question. Can I? Amelie, yes, you can ask. What is the name of this report? Amelie, you know what, not talk nonsense. Jeffrey got dressed quickly, and 20 minutes later, my son was at the Sports Palace, was waiting for him when he saw that his father came on foot. Dad said in disappointment, I thought you were on. Jeffrey's car needs to be repaired. The spare part will be available only in 3 days. Nothing will go on. Taxi. In the parking lot they got into a taxi, and Jeffrey gave the address to Leo. We checked on. We'll pick up Mom at work. Something like that. After another 15 minutes, they were near the office where Amelie worked. Got out of the car, and Jeffrey walked into the office. Standing there, the security guard clarified, sorry, there's no one in the office. Jeffrey, my wife, Amelie, said she would be there. The security guard is waiting for me. Like this 15 minutes ago. I saw them when I was coming here for a shift when they entered the cafe opposite. Jeffrey asked the security guard, who are they? The security guard answered, she and Oliver, the head of the department. He realized that this should not have been said, and I said something confused. Sorry. Jeffrey and Leo crossed the street and walked to the huge window of the cafe, and they saw Oliver sitting at a table for two, holding Amelie's hand, and he was telling her something. The music started playing and they went to dance. This is the time they brought the hot food. The son said, Dad, I'm hungry, so go sit at the table and have dinner. What about you? I'm going home. I need some things packed. Leo said, Dad, I'm 14 full years old. I'll live with you. And for now they dancing. I'll go and eat what Amelie and Oliver brought them. Dance, slow dance. In the semi-darkness, Amelie didn't know that Jeffrey took a photo, her on the phone, thinking that this would be some kind of argument. For divorce music ended. Oliver was leading the way to the table. Amelie walked behind the table. Oliver asked the young man, are you doing anything? Confused. I'm not. What about you? Amelie looked over Oliver's shoulder and saw her son. Quickly looked around the cafe and asked Leo, where is Dad? Leo answered, Dad went home to pack his things, and you know I'll go with him. Amelie asked, was he here or something? Yes, he was here and saw how you danced. Amelie, my husband saw us together. Leo, he even took a picture of you. God only knows who will he send these photos of Amelie to. We need to stop him. I'm already calling him. Amelie quickly. I dialed Jeffrey's phone number, but only found out that the subscriber was out of range. Oliver said, I have to go home. I'll talk to him myself. Amelie, I'm afraid. Bad idea. Oliver to her, do you want my wife to find out about our stupid date? I'm not going to. Leo turned to Amelie's mom to divorce her. So this uncle won't be my dad? Do not be silly. We just wanted to spend the evening in a cafe to talk about work. Chat, that is. Do you miss communication at work? There we solve work issues. Leo, and what issues do you decide here? I saw how you danced tightly, and Dad saw Oliver called the waitress and asked for an urgent payment. Their table was settled after a couple of minutes. They left the cafe and went to the parking lot. Taxi got into a free car and drove off. Meanwhile, Jeffrey was packing his things and pulled up the car. Soon the front door opened. Leo was the first to enter, followed by Amelie, and Oliver came in next. He immediately wanted to resolve the issue by telling Jeffrey, I apologize. You just misunderstood. Jeffrey, nothing. Responding, he turned around and hit Oliver in the face with his fist. He collapsed, not revived by the blow. Amelie screamed on the floor in fear, and her son said in admiration, Dad, great shot. You'll teach me, Jeffrey replied. I'll teach you, Dad. I'll go with you now. I'll go pack my things. Oliver started serving signs of life. Amelie fussed around him, bringing him to his senses and wailing. I said that this was a bad idea. Jeffrey answered her, this is just the beginning of it. Troubles. I think you have been tumbling together for a long time. You have to pay for everything. Really, Oliver? Jeffrey, yes, you understand. We had an urgent job, then it was cancelled and we decided to have dinner at the cafe opposite Leo. Dad didn't believe them. They came up with this version while they were in a taxi. Thought that you were on this noodles Cleunish. We are moving today, no on Sunday, and this is you. You won't throw it away. Alas, son, this house belonged to my mother before Jeffrey's marriage. Stop, you've already heard Oliver. Jeffrey, if he doesn't take it out now, I'll take it out on him. I'll add insult to injury. Oliver realized that this threat was real. Seriously, he quickly got up, wiped his face with the towel that Amelie handed him, and left. At the exit there was a taxi on standby. The driver saw Oliver and asked, maybe call the police. Oliver replied, no need to call anyone. Let's go, and thought to himself, what should I tell my wife? After all, he also told her a fairy tale about the report, although he knew that she doesn't believe him. He arrived at the house, paid the taxi driver and went to his wife, opened the door to his apartment, appreciating his appearance. She asked what it was. Did your assistant decorate you like this when compiling the report, or did her husband? Oliver answered this. Hooligans, of course. You won't write a statement. What kind of statement? That they were beaten by unknown people. And where did they beat you? Yes, it's not far from home. True. And that's why from there you take a taxi to. When he got home, Oliver undressed and went into the bathroom, where he looked in the mirror. He was horrified and his eye was swollen, and on Monday he had to be present at the meeting. At this time, the general director's wife decided to wash his things. Stained with blood, she began to check the contents of her jacket pockets and found a bill for dinner in a cafe for two and a hotel room key card. Went in for half an hour. Oliver came out of the bathroom. He saw that his things had been abandoned lying on the floor and others were added to them. The clerk said, you are sleeping today on the sofa. Tomorrow you are looking for a car and moving out on Monday. I will apply for divorce and to collect alimony from you. I already know who pointed it out in your face, that the clerk knows who shot him in the eye with it, was said specifically, and Oliver got a puncture. Claire, after work. We just went to the cafe for dinner. Claire, and what money? Oliver, I have a little bit of this for hack work. What happened later? A bad table occupied near the window. Her husband walked past with his son, and saw us, and that he filled the cafe. You don't have a face. Her son came in and sat down at the table while we were dancing. We had dinner. They came up and figured out what was going on, and she asked me to go home with her. Reassure your husband, because it wasn't that he thought you had her phone number. No, yes, call me, I'll talk to her. Oliver dialed his number. Answered Amelie. He told her, now my wife will talk to you. Claire took the phone and asked if your husband is at home. Yes, at home. Give him the phone. I want to hear this story from him. In a minute, Jeffrey replied, I'm listening to you. Tell me what happened. Jeffrey told her in detail what happened. At the end, Claire interrupted him and said to Jeffrey, don't believe they are in my husband's pocket. There is a room key card. They were going to retire to the room from the cafe hotel. As Jeffrey spoke to Claire on the speakerphone, Amelie heard what was said about rented a hotel room. She immediately told Jeffrey, I didn't know anything about it, and planned to return home by 8 o'clock. That's a lie. You told me you'd be late with the report and you'll be home at 10:11, but I didn't specify evening or morning. Our plans changed, but not for me. But my son said that you don't have these plans either. You came up with them in a taxi. Jeffrey, let's calm down. Go to bed and talk in the morning. You've already messed things up today, but I haven't done anything. While you think so, there won't be any conversation between us. Amelie went into the bedroom and sat down on the bed and thought about it. She only now began to understand how it all happened. Jeffrey was right. She deceived him, but the worst thing was that their son saw it, and he now is the most difficult period of adolescence, and Amelie understood. How difficult will it be to establish a relationship with your son, especially since he completely on Jeffrey's side. The next day, Saturday, she woke up around 10 p.m. Since I didn't sleep most of the night, I noticed that Jeffrey and Leo had already had breakfast, but they weren't visible. They went somewhere. Amelie dialed Jeffrey's phone number, but he immediately went to voicemail. The same thing happened, and with her call to her son, they understood her, ignored. Nevertheless, wrote a small SMS to Jeffrey and sent. I wrote, we agreed that we would talk this morning about what happened yesterday. I didn't. I will hide. I retaught my position and admit that I was wrong, but I really didn't plan anything with Oliver about the fact that he rented a room in. I didn't know about the hotel. I understand that he was luring me into a trap, but I think that I was able to avoid this. Come back, let's sit, and we'll discuss everything. Your wife Amelie never received an answer to the SMS, but by the evening, Jeffrey and his son arrived. They brought cardboard tied with rope which they put it on the ground floor without explaining anything, and immediately went to the garage. They were repairing the car. Amelie looked at what kind of cardboard they were. They were delivered in folded boxes. They were quick with minor manipulations. They were getting ready after 40 minutes. Amelie heard the car start up after 10 minutes. Father and the son entered the house. The son went into his room. Amelie asked Jeffrey, "Will you have supper?" "We will, but we will prepare the food for ourselves. We brought boxes." "Why pack my things? I'm moving with my son. Tomorrow you're leaving me." "It's you. She left us and you don't want to admit it." "Jeffrey, I realized everything. I wrote to you today an SMS and asked to meet me and talk. You didn't answer. I didn't read messages were once." "Jeffrey, can I start by saying that I don't want a divorce? I know I did something stupid by telling you a lie yesterday and not keeping my promise given to your son, and he has the right to be angry. I admit that I did wrong and acted selfishly. My actions caused your anger and hurt you and Leo. This is me once again asking for your forgiveness. Please don't leave me, Jeffrey. I need to think about that." "What did you say?" "I think for this I have to leave, but since Leo wants to live with me, then we will live together." "But why?" "Because I don't believe you. I fully admit that this was not your first meeting, and perhaps Oliver was not the first man you met in 15 years of our life together. I had second shifts at work at the factory when I arrived home in the night. I don't know how I can prove to you that I didn't have anyone, and that yesterday it was the first time I went to a cafe with a man. Not just a man. I went to a cafe with my boss, who had a hotel room like you. Now we're thinking about working with him. I didn't know he had a hotel room with me. We have friends and I think they will help us find out the truth about you. We don't need anyone involved in our relationship. We will decide everything ourselves. I love you, and I know that you love me. Our task today is to cope with this situation. As I said, I made a stupid decision, and yes, it was selfish, but it doesn't have to be the end of our marriage. Moreover, nothing except visiting a cafe I have with Oliver was not. I saw him at the table holding your hand with one hand and stroked the other. Well, how did you dance? Even the son noted how tightly you danced. Jeffrey, it was just a dance, just this dance, not with your husband, and without his permission. What are you talking about? There are unwritten rules for the behavior of married people. Do you like it? Flirt, divorce me, and do whatever you want. I don't want that. What was it? Amelie sighed, looked at Jeffrey and replied, "I don't know, but it's not boredom. I love you." It was more like a desire to make a career. Oliver promised to put me in his place. There are rumors that he is leaving for a promotion. Cafe, he called me for one purpose, to talk about it, and I agreed. I thought that this increases the promotion. I want to say you have always been a good husband, and yesterday I just wasn't a good wife, but I definitely know someone like him will not happen again. I will always be a good wife. Amelie, I want to disappear from your life as much as possible. I know that we will have to interact because our son is growing up. Perhaps there will be events in which we will both participate. But if available, I would prefer not to meet with you and not talk now. Excuse me, I need to feed my son and have dinner myself. But I prepared dinner. We need to get used to living on our own. Amelie, upset, went to her room. Jeffrey's bedroom, quickly peeled the potatoes, cut them very thin, and pieces of meat. Fry the meat over high heat. Stirring the meat was browned. Amelie's friend called and said, "I heard. What happened to you? You're a grown woman and you believe in fairy tales." "What kind of fairy tales?" did Amelie ask. Friend replied, "Yes, you are already the third sheep from the department who tried on his chair. Oliver is already the third. A year is passing and it won't go away. And all because no one needs him there. And honestly speaking, as a specialist, he's not very good. And what should I do? I have a family. It's all falling apart." Jealousy? What kind of jealousy? Jeffrey has never been jealous of me. I just have to say that in small doses jealousy can bring positive results, especially when the relationship between spouses begins to weaken, and in desperate cases, feelings of jealousy arise. Can be a powerful incentive to transform relationships, to revitalize marital love. But I don't want divorce. I love Jeffrey and we eventually have a son. I don't know psychologists. They believe that between spouses there should always be a lot of love and a little jealousy, but you must remember sparks of jealousy can destroy all your relationships. And where from? You know all this. I listen to psychologists and read. I wonder what Oliver looks like in Monday. You'll see. You know it's not the first time he's been beaten, so he's used to that. What to do with your husband? Talk to him, and promise to give him complete control over yourself. He will decide what to wear, who to communicate with, what events to attend. You will give him your phone. You will allow him to read personal correspondence on his phone and on social networks. You think he will agree to this? Tell me, have you ever cheated on him? No, I didn't even have such thoughts. But then I fell for the fact that we'll go to a cafe. Let's sit and talk, and you'll help me with my career. What a fool. He'll put you in bed. Drove and then said that I'm sorry. They won't transfer me. I'm telling you already. The third who tries on his throne. On Sunday, like Amelie, I didn't strive talk to Jeffrey. She couldn't do it. Avoided her son. She left for a while to the store, and when she returned she found that they were not at home, had disappeared, and some of the things they prepared for transportation were missing. A car from the garage. Amelie was at a loss as to where her husband and son could have gone. When they called, they didn't answer the phone. Meanwhile, one of the friends who worked with Jeffrey for a long time was looking for reliable tenants. He wanted to sublet a two-room apartment. Jeffrey called with him, and they agreed, and for a small price. For his friend, the main thing was that the apartment was safe, taking advantage of the absence. Amelie, he and Leo loaded some of the things and transported all their things to the new apartment. Son and Jeffrey just didn't fit in the car home on Sunday and didn't return to Monday. Amelie went to work, went to the Lisa department. Her friend with whom she was talking on the phone immediately approached her friend and asked, "Saw Oliver?" "No." "What about his appearance?" "From him, the shirt stinks. It's not fresh. The suit is wrinkled. He doesn't shave. He doesn't have a flashlight under his eye at all. He looks like a deeply rumpled homeless man." "And where did he come out of his office a couple of minutes ago?" "Past the reception there today. There is a big meeting planned, but he even has papers with. I didn't take it with me. I just think that he won't be able to take time off from the meeting. There will be founders and the CEO won't let him go." Oliver felt very bad. Claire kicked him out of the apartment and said, "You will break in." I'll give you a second." From her tone, he realized that she wasn't joking, especially since her brother lived nearby. But Oliver didn't want to fall under his fists after thinking about it. He reached the dacha on the outskirts of the city and turned on the heating. Slept on Saturday, ran to the store, bought something to eat, and came back. He took out a bottle of whiskey from its hiding place, drank a glass, and I sat and decided how to live on. Looked at my phone. No calls, and he didn't receive any SMS messages. It was a shame that he didn't tell anyone. Needed? No, he doesn't. I planned to come here for a long time, just for one day, but now I started to decide where go live because his dacha is not finished with renovations. I decided on Monday to look for comfortable housing. This was an acute necessity since he was a civilized man and could. I wouldn't have survived on Monday. I got up in the dark and arrived at the office half an hour early, which had not been noticed before. He went into the general office of the department subordinate to him. There was no one there. He went into his separate nook and looked at the papers lying on the table. He suddenly realized with horror that without Amelie he couldn't use them. Figure it out. Waved at everything and went into the reception area. At that moment I entered the reception area. CEO Besford. He greeted everyone and saw Oliver, said, "Come see me in my office." While undressing, asked Oliver, "Tell me, what happened to you?" "Yes, everything is fine. You saw yourself in the mirror there." "Where I spent the night." "There are no mirrors." "And where did you get the fumes?" "How much did you drink?" "Yes, a couple bottles of whiskey." "For what reason did my wife kick me out of the house when on Friday when with came to work and the bruise she gave it to you?" "No, it was on the way home." "And who he distinguished himself so much?" "Yes, he doesn't work for us." "You don't know him for what?" "For his spouse." "And she works for us?" "Yes, she works for us." "I understand that you have again some kind of aggravation." "Began? You were beaten recently." "Even though I'm sitting in my office, I know what's going on in the departments." "Well, who cares about this? Since you decided to make Amelie Baker happy, her husband works at a factory. If I'm not mistaken, I'm a mechanic at assembly work." "I don't know for sure, but I know exactly because the personal file was read by Amelie Baker." "I understand that because of that." What happened? She will submit her resignation letter. I don't know. I haven't talked to her about it. What kind of department head are you? What will you say at a meeting with the founders on the project? I don't know. I mean, not builder. The girls from my department prepared everything for me. And now what not have you prepared? Prepared, but I don't know the composition of these papers. I have humanitarian education. What does the humanities mean? Museums, galleries, theaters, film production. How did you come to us as a technical director? Department. It's just that I was dating Kira at the time, and she was your head of department. Frame, so she installed it. I remember then you and Kira were caught by her husband and told you. And she quit. Oliver, I don't plan to lose qualified personnel because of you. I hope you understand me. And who else from the department will replace you today at the meeting with the founders? Only Amelie knows the whole project. Meanwhile, Amelie was sitting on her workplace and was adjusting her makeup when Oliver approached her desk, put the project in front of her and said, "Today you are going to a meeting instead. You'll see me after the meeting. I have some work to do, so you're up for a promotion." "No, they're just kicking me out, and it's all because of your husband and his bad manners to him." "Thank you, Amelie. He and his son left me. He said he would think before return. Why didn't you tell me about the hotel room?" "But we didn't get there, and you were going to take me there. And you thought that I was some kind of philanthropist and I help other people for free. That's my main incentive to do this. The world around us is better off changing the lives of those in need." "I don't think so, and it's not a fact that I would go with you to the hotel because now I understand you are a vile person. No, I'm more of a misanthrope. I despise people like you for their weaknesses and vices. It cost me to lure you, and you forgot about your husband and son. It seems, Amelie, Jeffrey didn't give you enough. Okay, you'll come with. Will you take over the meeting with me?" The meeting went very smoothly. Amelie was presented as the acting head of the department. She answered confidently to all questions from the founders and the CEO. At the end of the meeting, Besford asked, "You will not repeat the mistakes of your predecessor, and you will not start having love affairs in the office. He partially told me what happened with you, but left a lot unfinished. So tell me now what happened on Friday." Amelie told it like it is. Besford, after thinking it over, "I said I won't put up with your husband. He looks like a hot guy and will consider me your lover, and then I will get it from him too. Today, take over the department myself, and I will say that I was dissatisfied with the level of its work, but today it turned out that Oliver had a liberal arts education. That is, he only knew how to make noodles. Hang up everything, go take care of business." Amelie returned to her department where everyone already knew about her appointment, and at the entrance they solemnly congratulated Lisa and asked, "You will be marked at lunch. I will buy a cake and cognac." Despite career growth in Amelie's family didn't work out. Firstly, she didn't know where to look for a husband, and they didn't leave my son's address. The only good thing was that my husband didn't file for divorce. A few days later, she went to school and waited for her son, who was on his way to class. Stopped and asked what happened. "Son, I would like to talk to my father. We can't break our family. I saw who was the first to start doing this. I allowed it. I made a mistake and I want to correct everything that I have done. Talk to my father, Mom, and him. It's not easy now. I see how he's worried about what happened at least and holding on. I just need to meet him on Saturday. I have a competition at the Sports Palace. My father will be there, and now it's time for me to go to school." Amelie didn't know that Jeffrey, "I did painstaking work with my son." He explained to him that his mother had offended him as a husband, but for his son she has always been a good mother. That's why Leo reconsidered his attitude towards Amelie, stopped and talked to her near schools on Saturday 40 minutes before the start in the gym. Soon she saw, as Jeffrey enters the hall, a woman was walking next to him, and they were not talking about something. Noticing Amelie sat down closer to the place of the contraction. Amelie was nervous, but pulled herself together in her hands and gathered her courage. She approached Jeffrey and the woman. She said, "Good afternoon. I won't disturb." "Amelie, you came to the competition?" "Yes. I decided watch your son perform." "Introduce me to your companion." "Meet Samantha. She is our teacher's son is performing here today, and her son Dennis is studying in a parallel class. Our dad couldn't come today. He has urgent work, and Dennis needs to be supported." And then they came out onto the tatami. All the athletes dressed in white kimonos came out. The competition began at the end of the first day, and Dennis and Leo reached the finals. which was supposed to take place on Sunday towards the end of the first. On the day of the competition, Dennis' dad appeared and quickly found them among the spectators. Looking at their happy family, Amelie became jealous when Leo left. Asked Dad, maybe we should go to the cafe. Come on, Anne. Let's invite Mom to the cafe. They took a table by the large window, had dinner and agreed. Meet on Sunday. Some time has passed since that stupid Friday, when Amelie thought that she will make a career by going to a cafe with her department head. By chance she became him, but she lost her family all this time. Son Jeffrey was not always present on weekends, and then one day before, she took a risk on New Year's Eve, and invited Jeffrey and Leo to celebrate the holiday together. Jeffrey replied, Leo will decide for himself. I think he is more interested in being with his peers. Will be. As for me, I haven't decided where I'll celebrate the new year yet. What about you? Don't they hold corporate parties? I don't go to these collective holidays anymore. I'll think it over and decide in a week. Jeffrey gave his agreement. Together with my parents, I decided to celebrate the new year, and Leo Amelie immediately clarified, let's meet New Year's Eve at our house. I'm preparing a table for 3. This new year has become final. Jeffrey's reconciliation between Amelie and Leo, and that's the story ends. Thinking out loud, I think that for Jeffrey accepting Amelie after betrayal, it was a difficult moral choice. Yes, I think this act betrayal. Some may believe that such betrayal cannot be forgiven, especially considering the emotional pain that this incident caused Jeffrey and finally broken trust that cannot be fully restored. However, others may believe that people are capable of making mistakes and changing. But what about you? I'm waiting for your comments. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for many more interesting stories.